Hey, Segovia, back with another video. Hope everyone out there's having a good day, y'all. We got a good reaction coming up today. I got my hot boiling cup of coffee right here. Let's have some fun with this one. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
There's something very interesting that Trump said to X today in the Oval Office, and there's a psychological reason behind why he said it. Listen closely.
This is X, and he's a great guy, high IQ. He's a high IQ individual.
Notice how he mentioned X's IQ. A lot of people would think that this isn't a big deal, but it actually is. In psychology, there's something called the Pygmalion effect, which originates from a study where they selected a group of students of normal intelligence and assigned a group essentially a compliment. They told that group of kids that they were gifted, and they noticed something really interesting. The gifted kids actually performed better than the kids that weren't praised, that weren't called gifted. So the question becomes, is Trump using the Pygmalion effect to aid in X's success, or is he just stroking Elon's ego? Let me know what you think.
Chris Tucker didn't want to be the poster child for smoking weed. He don't smoke weed like that.
Right.
He in the church. He Michael Jackson's best friend. Christmas. Michael Jackson called him Christmas. You ever met a man that gave you a little nickname like that?
No.
Me neither.
Hang out with Michael Jackson. Yeah, Michael is my boy. We hang out. We don't see each other that much, but because he called me sometimes, check up on me, see how I'm doing. He's like, "How you doing, Chris?" And when he really missed me, he called me Christmas. Hey, Christmas, how are you?
He calls you Christmas?
He called me Chris. It felt good. At first, I was like, why you call me? But then it started sounding good. I was like, say that again, Mike. Christmas? Is that what you mean? Yeah.
They were comparing the amount of money that Grand Theft Auto has generated versus like almost any other like movie, game. Like how much money has Grand Theft Auto generated? I mean, that has got to be one of the most popular games of all
1,000%.
time. It's about stealing cars.
Yeah, over $1.5 billion.
Yo.
Mr. Good to see you. How's life treating you today?
Well, Saul, it's been a pretty touch and go situation. Linda and I have had quite a few unpleasant words here lately over the deal with that he hired Mike Wallace to assassinate the president. It's been hectic in every way, but we've lived through it this far. I guess we'll continue to do so. Lyndon should have never issued that order to Mike. But we've had our differences, and I'm a true blue to Lyndon, as I've always been, and tried to carry out every order that he's ever given me. But this is one I'll probably never be able to forget. And the times that we've had in Texas, and the embarrassment that Lyndon had got from Kennedy, I guess there wasn't anything else to do but what he did.
Well, you know, Lyndon could have really hit me if he would.
Well, Lyndon's the kind of person that doesn't want to help anyone. He's all for Lyndon, and that's the way he's pretty much always been.
Well, they had me backed up on that Henry Marshall killing, and they just kind of blackmailed me to keep my mouth.
A president, vice president, putting a hit out on the president, y'all. That's crazy. This has been going on forever.
An earthquake rocked Area 51 in the Nevada desert yesterday. Yeah, that suspicious, mysterious base, Area 51. Just a couple of days ago, I made a video about some of the strange shenanigans going on out there. From this thing that kind of looks like the Egyptian all-seeing eye. to that thing that looks like a giant obelisk, to the thing right below it, which could be almost anything, from a pyramid, a vehicle, or just some kind of base altogether. And now an earthquake has hit that area. Now, I live in Nevada, Reno, which is pretty far from Area 51, to tell you the truth. And we do get earthquakes from time to time. And even though the earthquake at the Area 51 wasn't that big, just under 3 on the Richter scale, it still has some people around here concerned. Because nobody, and I mean nobody, really knows what's going on out there. No one knows. And if they do somehow, they ain't talking. No. So, could some shenanigans be going on out there at the Area 51? Or is it just a coincidence that an earthquake happened right after people started looking at that obelisk? Let me know what you think, Booshkies, in the comments section. Shabadoo!
Y'all, another day, another plane crash. What the fuck is really going on?
Seriously.
This is like the 5th crash that has happened in the last 3 weeks, y'all. They throwing the bait out, man. They trying to see who they gonna catch. I'm telling you, something is going on. So this was a U.S. Navy Growler fighter jet that crashed into the San Diego Bay near Shelter Island. So per reports, they say as the plane was heading down, both pilots ejected themselves where they went into the water and they were rescued by a sport fishing boat. So this incident happened at 10:15 in the morning, and witnesses said they seen the jet take off before it descended rapidly into the water. So when it crashed into the water, it caused a large oil spill. So crews had to go to the scene and had to hurry up and try to contain the spill. So as of right now, the cause of the crash is being investigated, and people are trying to figure out if the military were doing drills. Right now, they got boats and everything around the surrounding area because the plane is still submerged in the water.
Like, what do you think's going on with these planes, y'all? Like, do these things always happen? Because when I lived in Arizona, there was always, crash landings in neighborhoods for little single engine planes. At the Mesa Gateway Airport, there's always, plane crashes. Are these things that always happen, but for some reason now they are putting it on the news, every single little crash, even if it's just a single airplane that, nobody was offed? I know these big 60 some people that are no longer here, those are big things that hit the news, but now they're starting to put every single little plane crash. And I'm sure all over the country, all over the world, there's little single engines that go down all the time. Is there something bigger going on, or are they just, for some reason that we don't know why, they're showing us every single little crash? I don't know, y'all. What do you think?
See what's included in the next iPhone update. You need to disable your iPhone automatic update because the next one includes Elon Musk's Starlink satellites. So we will all be connected to the man who is currently stealing all of our social security numbers and bank information, and giving him a tracking device to see where everyone
They've been
that
doing
has an
that,
iPhone
though.
is. So that's fun. So go into your settings and disable the automatic software setup update on your iPhone. Do it now. Don't wait, because they're trying to update it right now, today, as we speak. More fun!
I've never seen anything like this, guys. Look at this. How big that storm is, how big that one is, the big one coming from and that's the big one people are talking about, California. Then you look out here to the East Coast, and then this. How are there giant storms across the entire planet? And that's for February 14th. Let's look a little bit more in the future. And we talked about this before, February 16th. Look at the size of this, guys. Stretching from the East Coast to Europe. Just thought I'd give you guys another heads up. February 18th, look at the size of this storm, guys. Touching coast to coast, across continents. February 20th. And possibly the worst day of them all, February 21st. Look at the size of this, guys. Coming for Europe, United Kingdom, and Ireland. So, prediction, February is going to be very messy in terms of weather, guys. Just a heads up. But really, guys, legitimately, I've never seen anything like this. Boom, 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 boom. 5, monster storms. What do you guys think? Is this normal or is something else going on here?
We'll be conducting investigations into the following: the assassinations of JFK, RFK, and Dr. Martin Luther King, unidentified aerial phenomena, also known as UAPs, unidentified submerged objects, also known as USOs, the Epstein client list, the origins of COVID-19, and the 9/11 files.
You find it in the Vatican, you find it in ancient Egypt, you find it here in the States, you find it all over cemeteries, you find it all over the Masonic lodges, and they believe by setting up this ritual. Now, it's all a recreation of the original ritual that took place between Isis and the 13 pieces of Osiris. The Washington Monument and the Dome of Isis, which is the Capitol building. Now, this is fascinating because the original ritual had to take place between what we would, in a courtyard, between a dome and an obelisk. Putting those two together like that creates a power generator, literally a generator for this ritual. But think about this. In ancient Egypt, what had happened was the pharaoh would go through this ritual, he would enter in a man, and he would exit the ritual a god. That was their belief. And they believed that their pharaoh was literally the embodiment of Osiris because of that ritual. They were calling him up out of the underworld. Same ritual, basically, that the Freemasons believe that they have maintained the proper language and the ritual to a T from the ancient world. They claim to have this still today. They're right there between the dome and the obelisk, right there in that power generator, and right around the corner at the Herodome, which is what they call the Masonic Mecca of the world, literally. The Herodome is this temple, this massive, crazy temple in DC. They are literally calling on the spirit of Osiris to raise up, or Apollo, however you want to slice it, but they're not all conscious of the ritual. They believed in the foundation of this nation that Washington was a type. He was the first Osiris. Technically, every president in their eyes is an Osiris, but the crazy thing is that not every time the ritual is going to stick. They have to keep doing it until it actually sticks, and they get that one that they've been waiting for. You know, how many years, was Jack Parsons and L. Ron Hubbard working in the desert trying to get this ritual to stick? They do this at the inauguration of every U.S. president because they believe there is going to come a time in a president that will be the one in the Capitol building beneath the 72 pentagrams and the apotheosis of George Washington. And that's not it. There's so much more numerology about the Capitol building and the 13 statues and the statutory hall. But I believe that's the real ritual. That's the one where he's going to raise, where the spirit of Osiris, which the Bible talks about this Apollyon coming up from the bottomless pit. Now his body's cut up into 14 pieces. It gets thrown into the Nile River. And Isis, of course, isn't happy about this. Isis tries to collect all the pieces up, and she's only able to find 13 pieces. So she fashions together those 13 pieces to form a more perfect union, which is the framework of our 13 colonies, a more perfect union, based off of the myth of Osiris. Now that's showing Egyptian magic even in the framework and the fabric of our foundation, right? It's not an accident that they brought together 13 colonies to form a more perfect union. That was all by design. It was all manufactured.
It's always funny to me to see guys like The Rock or whatever that's like still punching the narrative, still doing what he's told, still giving the speeches, endorsing, like, who's your master? Like, what the are you doing? You got $400 million. Like, what the is wrong with you? Like, why are you answering to anybody? Like, why is anybody influencing what you say? Like, be your own person. You have enough. Like, when you get to a point where like you can't spend your money, the idea of like being a slave to money is crazy to me.
I don't think he can, right? I mean, to get to that level, they can take that away overnight if you don't follow the script. I mean, look at Kanye when he did what he did. He lost over $1 billion like that. So you have to do these things, or you're blackmailed, like the Epstein list coming out, the Diddy thing. You're blackmailed, and if you get out of pocket, there you go, released to the world. There you go. You go like this, boom. That's an Airstream.
Is there a reason they've been hiding electric vehicles from us for over 100 years? Like, when do you think the world's first electric car was invented? Was it in 2008 when Tesla first revealed the Roadster to the world? Nope. Maybe it was in 1996 with the revolutionary EV1 from General Motors. Not even close. The first commercially viable electric car was the Baker electric vehicle in 1909. Yup, we had electric cars over 100 years ago, and then they just kind of disappeared for a while, and I bet you can guess who was behind it all. This car here could go 70 miles on one charge and up to 25 miles per hour. Not the fastest, but still better than a typical horse-drawn carriage back then, which would cap at around 10 miles per hour.
No one is talking about Jay-Z's watch that he wore at the Super Bowl. This is a $3 million watch by Richard Mille. This is a RM66 Flying Tourbillon, and it is in an orange-red sapphire. Okay, you need to look at the symbolism in this watch. I mean, we're talking about a watch here. There is a skeleton hand with the devil horns, and above it you can see a skull, and you can see that it's red, and it's called the RM66. You also see little stars between the fingers, and when you turn it around, you can see the inside of the hands. But this is absolutely crazy.
This man, Donald Trump, really went through with it. I thought he was just talking out his ass, but he actually changed it, y'all. It's really official. This man actually changed the Gulf of Mexico to Gulf of America. Now, what does this mean? Now all the government docs gotta change, the school textbooks, even the official maps gotta change. I know Mexico was heated when he first brung this up, but they didn't actually believe he was gonna go through with it. And this man really did, y'all. Can y'all imagine a whole body of water named after your country for centuries just suddenly changed like boom? But for real, y'all, what's the real play behind this? Because shit like this just don't happen overnight. Like, he explained why he wanted to do it, but I always feel like it's a bigger meaning to everything that happens like this. Now they saying we officially got a new holiday called the Gulf of America Day, which is on February 9th. If this don't show we living in a simulation, I don't know what does. I'm telling y'all, this is a power move. We about to see the other power countries start to do the same. Shit finna go crazy, y'all.
I came to the, to this house, and they were about to kill her. And he, the killer that had killed tens of people, he said, "Oh, what are we doing? Why are we gonna kill her?" And they told him, because the beast asked for a baby, so we have to give him the baby. He's in prison because he's a killer, but he left the gang because he couldn't tolerate what he was seeing.
So human was a part.
Well, in the United States a couple of days ago, I don't remember exactly, I saw the news that they were.
Guys, that is the president of El Salvador telling you that this stuff is real. You don't get a higher credential than that. He's telling you what's going on, and still people refuse to listen. I wish it wasn't true, I wish it was an urban legend, but this is what is going on. And don't ever think that it just happens in less economically developed countries. It doesn't. It happens in the UK, it happens in Europe, it happens in America, it's happening all over the world.
Saddam Hussein thought that he was Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, reincarnated.
Yeah.
So he claimed to be reincarnated Nebuchadnezzar. And so he went and was rebuilding Nebuchadnezzar's temple and palace that was there at the original Babylon.
It's hitting the firmament. Look at it, scraping the firmament. Wow. They're really trying to go into the firmament right now and breaking through. Yeah. Two of them are trying to get through the firmament. I don't know if it's going to happen. This is incredible. Two rockets are scraping the firmament right now. Unbelievable.
The other lie that I see in the news is that the media is making this out to be a struggle between Black and Latino people and Asian people. And let me remind you of something. Black and Latino people have never had a war with any Asian country to sell them opium. We have never dropped a nuclear weapon on them. We have never had secret bombing runs in Laos, Cambodia, and Vietnam. Do you understand? We have never had a war that consumed millions of people's lives in Korea. Okay, we were placed in the same unfortunate low-income circumstances and without access to proper health care. And these are the struggles that we're united by. And when I see horrific violence being placed against black people, against Asians, against immigrants. It not only breaks my heart because it's the same people that had to go through that struggle doing it to other people.
This is Mrs. Jean Hill of Dallas. Could you tell us what you saw?
Yes, Mary and I had come down to see the president this morning, and we tried to get a place where we could be away from everyone, and we, I guess, succeeded. As the car came down the hill toward us, he was on our side of the street, and the president and Mrs. Kennedy were in the back seat. They had a little dog between them looking at it, and just as the car came right in line with us, the president looked up, and just as he looked up, 2 shots rang out, and he grabbed his chest, and this real odd look came over his face, and he pitched forward onto her lap. And she jumped up over him at that and screamed and said, "My God, he's been shot." And there was just an instantaneous, sort of an instant's pause, and in the motorcade it momentarily halted, and 3 or 4 more shots rang out, and they sped away real quickly. And by that time, I became aware of Mary tugging on my foot, saying, "Get down, they're shooting." And it hadn't registered. I'd been so busy looking at the president.
So you were in a very advantageous spot to see the president.
To see the president, but also to get shot. In the motorcade, it momentarily halted, and 3 or 4 more shots rang out, and they sped away real quickly. In the motorcade, it momentarily halted, and 3 or 4 more shots rang out, and they sped away real quickly.
Jay-Z talks about having to sit down with Beyonce to explain to their kids about the whole rape allegations thing. Here's how it works, Jay. Let me put you up on game. As a psychotherapist, here's the psychology behind it. When you've done nothing wrong, there's nothing to explain away. By you having to explain yourself, that means something happened that you either need forgiveness for or you need somebody else to try to understand. If y'all recall, during the 2016 presidential campaign, there were some allegations about Trump messing around with some women, and they brought that up on the debate stage. Y'all remember what Trump said? Trump said, "I didn't even apologize to my wife because I did nothing wrong." So at the end of the day, when you've done nothing wrong, there's nothing to explain away. You simply dismiss it. So by him having to explain himself, that right there tells me everything I need to know. Facts.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your older homie, Mr. Black, aka the South Mountain guy. And check this out. I came out here. We are in the Valley of the Heads, where we found all the statues in the heads. I brought my geologist out here this weekend. Let me just show you what we found. Hey, people. So here we are. And according to my geologist, this is a hand that's buried. And there's one finger right there with the fingernail. And there's another finger, see the knuckle bone? We got a knuckle bone right here, and this finger's going down into the dirt, and this looks like what could be a pinky finger going down. Now tell me, people, is this a giant Nephilim hand? Is this a dragon? Is this a dragon? A dragon foot? Or is this something more prehistoric? Could this be a dinosaur foot? Once again, here's one finger with the knuckle going down. Here's another hand right here with another finger right here, part of the hand going down. Here's the nail. Here's the nail. The sharp nail kind of looks like a talon. And if you see, the hand looks like that. It's crunched up and it's in the ground. It's your older homie, Mr. Black, aka the South Mountain guy. Go with Jesus. Peace be your journey. And remember, you seen it here second. Peace.
I'm going to show you guys how much eggs cost at an Italian grocery store, okay? So this is for 6 organic eggs. It's €269 for 6. There's 4 here, €149. You have 6, and these are medium eggs for $169. Same with the ones down here, 6 for $169.
Have you seen this video?
Demons aren't afraid of sage. They're attracted to it. It's not protection, it's actually petition. You're not protecting yourself from unclean spirits by using sage or smudging the house. You're petitioning unclean spirits to you. It's like moths to a flame. Because see, you have to remember that the act of a burnt offering, it's biblical, right? It's God's principle. He created burnt offerings in the Old Testament as an atonement for our sin. And so the devil has hacked the burnt offering because it was originally a burnt sacrifice unto God, see, but the devil has perverted it through sins of divination and through worship of false gods to be a sacrifice to him and to demons. So the sage, this act of smudging, it is received as a sacrifice to unclean spirits. It attracts them to the space. It does not deter them from the space. It attracts them to the space. It does not protect you in the space. It petitions them to the space.
Comment down below.
Now, I've always heard that about sage. Like, don't burn that in your house. It brings on negative energies. Some people say it gets rid of negative energies. I don't know. What do you guys think?
So the gold bricks represent the gold standard. The city of Emerald represents the money at the end of the path, and the Oz represents the DC-like politicians that are creating a facade of potential success. This guy in the early 1900s wrote the original book that would become the 1939 adaptation of the movie. In that movie, we follow somebody who's thrust into a whole new world that they are not familiar with, only to told to follow the gold to get to the green, and when they get there, they find that the person working behind the scenes has been orchestrating all of this. Who had they deceived? Well, they deceived the scarecrow, who represented the farmers of the time, who were too dumb to realize they were being industrialized in the farming industry. He didn't have a brain. A lion, the great leader of the jungle, even though they're in the Sahara, to only find out he didn't have the courage to lead them down the path that he thought was right. Representing the weak leaders at the time who were unwilling to face courageously the monetary policy that was being put in place by central banks. And exchanging the American citizen's heart and soul for money was really the core of the industrial boom that happened in the early 1900s. And that has nothing to do with the fact that a metal man had no heart, right? Another fun fact, the ruby slippers. The rubies actually weren't rubies in the original book, it was silver. In the late 1800s, there was a lot of debate going on as to whether or not we need to incorporate silver into our standard as well so that we can upkeep with trade and upkeep with population. It connects to another conspiracy theory, so check this out. So A, Frank Baum was writing at a time before the Federal Reserve was in place. What's the Federal Reserve? All you need to know is it's not federal and they don't have reserves. We'll talk about that another time. But it was about to be formed. Who was it being formed by? 7 people having a secret meeting that they came out of saying, hey, we had the secret meeting, and now we as bankers believe that we should control all the money because we're the smartest with the money. And the American people were like, should we trust them? And a lot of people, like L. Frank, were like, we shouldn't trust them. So books and stories and even political pundits would step up against the Federal Reserve, but to no avail. Like John Jacob Astor, who would step up against the Federal Reserve. Benjamin Guggenheim, who would actually be vocal in stating that he believed that we were selling our souls to gold. Isidor Straus. Now, all 3 of these gentlemen have something in common. They all died in April, and they all died in the Atlantic Ocean a year before the Federal Reserve would officially be founded. They're telling me that 3 very wealthy individual political pundits who were against the centralization of our money all died in the same year, in the same month, on the same day, and died in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. What the heck happened April 12th, 1912? The Titanic. You know what gold is measured in? Ounces. You know what the shortened version of ounces is? OZ.
They didn't do their job. And it's not the teacher's fault, because I'm sure they wanted to. But you only get, what, $250 of a tax break as a teacher for buying supplies? It's a disgrace. You know, as much as they want to fund cops, you need to fund teachers in this country. You need to give them that, because obviously right now they're fighting a war against ignorance and they're losing. In the same way, sister, that I'm writing an album called The Middle Passage. They've shown us every plantation with cotton on it. You know what plantation they've never shown us, Abby? The most prominent ones. The ones that were most profitable, the breeding plantations.
10 years ago, when kids started playing with DIY slime, I was like, oh, this is big. Like, every kid in the world is making slime with their moms and in their house. Well, like, how do you make this stuff? Oh, the primary ingredient is Elmer's glue. That's interesting. So who makes Elmer's glue? Newell Brands. Oh, they're public. So, like, how much are they going to grow Elmer's glue? Oh, Elmer's glue hasn't really grown in 40 years, but now it's sold out in every store around the world. Earnings were a few weeks later, and this trend had been going on for a couple months now. So I traded Newell Brands via stock options, and sure enough, the company had like its biggest earnings like ever in recent history.
Do you remember the thing that happened in Maui? And then it happened in the Palisades in California? Hate to say this, but I feel like it might be happening in Phoenix, Arizona next.
Now they are starting to get rid of fire insurance in Phoenix. We know of them wanting to do some smart cities. It looks like the blueprint. I mean, we saw what happened in Hawaii, in LA. The same blueprint in Phoenix. Phoenix has grown. It's like, I think, the 5th largest growing city in America, if I'm not mistaken. Be a sad thing to see, y'all.
She couldn't keep Lamar in line.
What do you think, Chris?
He wasn't as stupid as OJ. I mean, they had the hook there at the bunny ranch, picking him up, sticking him with stuff, doing all kinds of stuff to him, and he's still alive.
Why do you think they did that to Lamar Odom?
Because he was threatening to write a tell-all book, and that's why he ran his ass to China.
Odom did not elaborate on where in China he will be playing.
And who do you think was driving that? What they did to
Chris.
Lamar? Kris Jenner.
Yeah.
What do you think Kris and the Kardashians' involvement is in terms of Diddy's ring?
They're high ranking in the Diddy enterprise. Yeah.
Would you say that they were above Diddy? Or are above Diddy?
Well, I won't say above, but they are definitely adjacent.
Do you believe the girls were used to blackmail men?
They're all
Yeah. Do you believe they were drinking them?
Of course.
At these parties?
Yeah. That's what they do. Why is nobody acknowledging?
NWA came out. It destroyed us. I'm gonna just be honest.
Yeah, it's a hard reality to admit because I grew up loving NWA, listening to it, and then you're like, wow, you know.
Before NWA, we didn't have a concept that it was cool to kill a black person. Yeah. Did murders happen? Yeah. But nobody bragged about it. We didn't have a concept that it was cool to go to prison. There was no concept that it was good to kill a black person. Like I didn't even know that existed. To say it's cool, you brag about it. You're not supposed to
literally
kill
people. And some guys get arrested for literally killing people and bragging about it. It's insane.
They created a new environment that now it's cool to kill our own people.
I really think NWA was funded by the government because a lot since then the conscience rapper has died. If you want to make it in the industry, you can't rap positivity. You can't get to that level of success rapping positivity. If you do, you're independent. You might get 1 million views on YouTube, but you ain't gonna get that fame and that influence. So, and now it's just such a known thing. I wonder if it's still going on or if that's just the way they guided it to be, that this is just what people rap about. Or is that still going on in the industry where if you want to get on, you got to rap like this? If you're going to rap like that, we'll see what you do with your YouTube views. But if you want to get on the mainstream, which you hear people say, I will, or you hear people tell stories like this guy said he will do whatever it takes to get on that camera and get in the limelight. Oh, y'all know I'm a sucker for giants. I love giants on mountains. If I see it, I post it.
Well, I can tell you this about the tunnels, and this is public knowledge, is that there are huge corporations and businesses underground that go really fucking deep. And like there's a restaurant in LA that like stores their cheese there, and like supposedly, I don't know if this is true, some celebrities know how to take the underground tunnels to get to places faster, but I don't know if that's true. But there are film archives are kept underground.
What a conspiracy. We bring you here for the hot stuff. Guys, just so you know, there's cheese under LA.
There's cheese. Special cheese.
Yeah,
dude.
We got cheese under LA.
Rich cheese.
Kaz, can you tell us what you found?
That's what they look like? There are LA tunnels that celebrities access. I'll find you the article.
Because he drives his freaking Porsche through there.
Yeah.
Well, I just hear stories about how Leo always takes these secret tunnels to go to weird Eyes Wide Shut parties with the girls he meets.
Right, guys, we've got a bit of an interesting bit of footage here. A strange atmospheric phenomenon off the coast of Miami. It was first reported as a UFO sighting in nature, which technically it could be, but whatever this is a very odd shape and a very odd appearance. I mean, it looks like there's some sort of mist down the back there, maybe a bit of sunlight above. So I don't know whether there's some sort of mirage happening here or some sort of weird shape it's presenting itself. I mean, some of you are probably going to say what, you know, I don't even need to say what it looks like, because it's a very interesting thing. But yeah, there was quite a few people that saw this apparition and then it vanished abruptly. So I don't know, mate. You guys let me know what you think. I thought this was interesting enough to talk about because very unique.
Must have messed up with my editing. Sorry. Yeah, there's no way they did that with a chisel. Chisel and a hammer. No way. Look at that.
Travel sports are destroying American families. Period.
Okay.
Period. And you, as a well-tuned in mom, are feeling the pressure, if you don't do this, from these external coaches. If you don't do this, then your kid's not going to make this team. And if they don't make this team, there's no way they're going to get on this. And if they're not on this team, then how are they going to, right? You feel that. And it makes sense. And you have a 10-year-old telling you, I love this. I love it. I love it. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. And then you got that feeling in your mom gut that like something's off.
Around 100 women were kept as slaves on a human egg farm in the country of Georgia, where they were fed hormones and treated like cattle. Their horrifying ordeal has been revealed by 3 Thai women who were freed from the clutches of the egg mafia on January 30th after being exploited for half a year. They were held captive on a human farm by a criminal organization led by Chinese criminals who sold their eggs on the black market. They were lured in by a job offer off Facebook, promising them $17,000 to work as surrogates for Georgian couples who could not have children. Once they arrived, they realized it was just a front. They were pumped with hormones and forced to have eggs removed once a month. It is not known how many women are still being held on the human farm. Investigations are ongoing.
Why is no?
I mean, that's the biggest moneymaker, right? In the world now. It's not the war on drugs. It's not, you know, whatever. It's human. There's a lot of traffic outside today, right? That's what makes the money now.
Talking about the fact that they literally confiscated a human egg farm yesterday. With all of the Super Bowl and all that kind of stuff being talked about, no one is talking about the fact that they literally rescued 100 women that were forced to donate eggs. This happened in, I want to say, Georgia. It was a program that was happening that they listed on Facebook Marketplace advertising surrogate services. So basically you become a surrogate and you get paid a pretty decent amount of money for it, right? Now, these women went to this facility that happened to be an egg farming facility, and they were completely blindsided. They began to, house these women in very unsafe environments, and force them to do egg retrieval services for very, very cheap to no price, pay. And they just rescued 100 women from Thailand that were being forced to donate eggs. This is literally The Handmaid's Tale in real life.
So when
It's so crazy that you can post those things on Facebook Marketplace, like, "Come to this sketchy warehouse and let's do surrogate stuff." But I'm trying to post, well, I got rid of it already, a Peloton that was broken. Just trying to post it on Facebook Marketplace. It's not broken. The wires, when we moved, they snapped out. If you know how to do wiring, you can pop it back and you got a damn still. I was gonna sell it for $200. They wouldn't let me post that on Marketplace because the so-called recall, which I looked up, and it was the bike that got recalled, not the treadmill. So I ended up giving it away for free because I got Mama Bear a new treadmill. She's been talking about a treadmill. I want to get back in shape. I just had the baby, so I bought her a little treadmill because the Peloton's been broken. But they won't even let me post a Peloton on Facebook Marketplace. But you can post this that ends up being a smuggling thing. What's Zuckerberg up to, y'all? What's he up to? Is he in on this? Like I said previously, it's the biggest moneymaker out there. I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be a shock.
maintain the fact that something weird is going on in the sky. Now, I'm not talking about the plane that just fell today, the 12th, nor the other 10 planes that have fallen. I mean, even the news channel is airing disturbing noises coming from the sky. I'll show you this, and I got another one to show you.
Northeast of Oklahoma City are saying a loud, shrill noise is keeping them up at night.
And the crazy part, no one knows exactly what it is or where it's coming from.
And that's not all. I showed you other videos where I showed you all these crazy trumpet and grinding sounds happening in the sky, but here's another one. And to make it even crazier, we have stuff like this popping up in the sky. Is that what it looked like when Peter thought ghosts was walking up to the ship? What do y'all think it is? We got some weird days ahead of us. Somebody should really find out what's happening to these planes, though.
Now, there was loud booms in my hometown. I didn't hear them, but I got the Ring camera, so the neighbors are always talking on there. A lot of people were saying, we heard 2 loud booms, have no idea what it is. Sure enough, the news made it, sent the anchor out to where I'm at in the Northeast. They said, we don't know what it is. Pretty much, they sent him out there to say, I don't know what this boom is. Still no explanation for it. Still never came out and said anything. Just swept it under the rug, y'all. But there is some loud booms out here. I didn't hear them, but a lot of people heard it.
I got harsh word for the Pope. Pope won't fix the Catholic Church. I'm saying this is a lifelong Catholic. I was baptized Catholic. I was first communion Catholic, confirmation of Catholic. You ought to fix the Catholic Church and concentrate on his work and leave border enforcement to us. He wants to attack us for securing our border. He's got a wall around the Vatican, does he not? So he's got a wall around to protect his people and himself, but we can't have a wall around the United States. So I wish he'd stick to the Catholic Church and fix that. And
That's a good point. That's crazy, y'all.
Was the head of NASA, wrote a novel, a fictional novel about a guy named Elon that takes us to Mars. Yeah, so there's like parts of reality that don't seem real.
Yeah.
They seem like a wink, like an Easter egg, like someone is like winking at you.
Oh, yeah.
Through the simulation.
I'm just like an extra in the simulation.
But you're a part of it. It's your version of it that you're going through. You are the person who's experiencing your world. I just don't know if your world and my world are exactly the same.
Right.
I think
no.
they're bubbles. I think they're bubbles. And I think the way you interface with the world changes what your bubble consists of.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it's all very weird. I don't think it's as simple as that rancher lady thinks when she gets up and feeds her chickens. I think that's her world.
Right.
That's her world. But I think the universe itself and how we interact consciously with it and all the things around us, I think it's squirrely. I think it's real squirrely. And I think every now and then the universe shows us something like this fucking Werner von Braun book.
Our first investigation will be announced, but it's going to be covering on a thorough investigation into the John F. Kennedy assassination. And I can tell you, based on what I've been seeing so far, the initial hearing that was actually held here in Congress was actually faulty in the single bullet theory. I believe that there were 2 shooters, and we should be finding more information as we are able to gain access into the SCIF, hopefully before the files are actually released to the public.
So you got hard water.
See, they're going to release them, but the majority of the people aren't going to go read those docs. It's going to be like a 1,000-page doc, and then it's only going to say what happened in like 1 or 2 pages. So, you know, nothing's going to change. There's not going to be an uprising. Like, you guys off John F. Kennedy or Martin Luther King or these UFO things. So I guess that's up to us to go do the research. But if they came out and read the doc personally on there, there'd be a bigger change. But they don't do that. And they don't do that for a reason.
Through your pipes, you can put a tensor ring on the pipes. It'll get rid of the hard water. Let's say you got a pool and you got a bunch of algae, or you're using too much chlorine. You can take a tensor ring and you could put it on your pumps on your pool.
I wonder if
That
that's
algae
true.
will go away and you won't have to use chlorine anymore. The tensor rings, I've started to realize, are manipulating the ether. And you can see that. So I kind of go back and forth. You can kind of see how it changes. They're manipulating the ether. The spiral that is taking place here has a piezoelectric effect, which is really cool. It's a piezoelectric antenna. And the more I would start to study these tensor rings, the more interesting things I started to notice. And you could take a tensor ring, and you could take, for example, your glass of water. You can put a tensor ring right underneath there, and that will help structure your water. Just a simple tensor ring. That's it. The work with Slim Sperling, he was talking about how they would use the measurements of the Great Pyramids to create their tensor rings, which I thought was really cool. And simply enough, I just put one on my arm right then, and it just kind of tunes you in.
I think that AI is a very ancient technology. In the book of Ezekiel, especially, the vision of them traveling in these craft that are wheel within a wheel. So they had to have made these in a different realm. So they have a technology. I think our understanding of technology is just different.
I don't think we could even do the math on what that tech would look like because we are limited by the dimensions we are.
And we're not meant to understand it.
Again, we're going to go full circle back where it talks about it'll be like the days of Noah. I think the days of Noah were way more complicated than just people being bad people, right? I don't think it was just like Nephilim walking around. I think if you talk about like the Tower of Babel, I believe they truly possess this heavenly type of technology that could be devastating to humans. It's like the tree of good and evil, right? This is a thing from the heavens that they were probably messing with in the days of Noah because of the fallen angels introducing all these things. And then I think that's getting reintroduced today through potentially AI, quantum computers.
This may be a dumb question, right? They took a bite. Was their knowledge actually given?
I believe so.
We could solve poverty in the entire world with a stroke of a pen. And you know why they don't do that in Africa, Ethiopia, wherever? Because of corruption. None of the money's almost none of the money's going to get down to where it belongs. They have a deal called the CAP 28's coming up, where the wealthy countries get together and say how they're going to spend money for the poor countries. This is CAP 28. Every year they pledge between 100 and 500 million. And how much money has been given? Zero. And it's because of the C word, corruption. But nobody talks about it. Nobody talks about it. Everybody knows it, but nobody talks about it.
Crazy.
And we've been in Haiti. We've been all kinds of places. At the end of the day, it all comes down to the money getting stolen. How much money can you get to the actual needed recipient? And in most cases, it's almost nothing. It's almost nothing.
Look at this sketchy ass little thing. Hell no. That little rope. That's sketchy. They never came back up. Legend has it. This guy's the one that's controlling it on the phone.
We'll show where some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels. It's actually not.
You're talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants. That was FEMA money for migrants. That's okay now.
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. The portrayal. What I'm saying is the portrayal by him is just not factually accurate. He's talking about luxury hotels. I'm not as big. Look, I was in Hurricane
Until he sends you a
I
personal
saw what
text,
FEMA
you're
does.
not gonna believe it. I get it.
I think the issue too is these are congressionally appropriated funds.
Science was purposely created to hide God. Even further, science is Gnosticism, and I will prove it. And this great scientific debate goes back to the 1st century, earlier, and even the medieval ages. But let's start here in the 1st century. Timothy, keep that which is committed to thy trust, avoiding profane and the vain babblings and oppositions of science, falsely so called. Now this chapter is about following the righteousness in the words of Jesus Christ and his teachers, and not falling into the vain babblings and opposition that is called science, but falsely called science. The reason for this is there is a real science that you can prove with the scientific method, but what they have is a false religion science, which is the Greek word gnosis, which is knowledge and intelligence and understanding, but remember he said falsely so-called science. Now let's look at the word gnosis, which traces back to the Greek 1st century Hellenistic religions about the sun, the moon, the stars. Go figure, huh? And this is also where we get the word Gnosticism from, which is straight up religious ideas. And today this man-made religion is mainstream, because all this science today is theory, Big Bang, evolution, the theory of gravity, where it should be a theory of relativity and density, which isn't really a theory. Anyways, this is Martin Luther. Google hides exact quotes on this topic, but he called Copernicus and his astronomy model all the Antichrist spirit. And after this video, you now know it's a Hellenistic religion. And obviously he was against Rome. Today's science is a cult of alchemy, divination, and sorcery.
Something weird is going down at the Weeknd's concerts. This girl literally filmed herself crying because of the energy that she felt in the crowd watching this show live. And I've made videos on the Weeknd's concerts before because the backup dancers are always dressed up in these red robes and they do this dance that just feels like they're harvesting energy or something. I'm going to show you the clip that the girl took in a second, but his stages always have some type of symbolism as well. There's usually this red moon, and recently he's dancing on what looks like to be a church, and there's also sometimes this AI looking thing. Also, he's been seen wearing this robe in his recent music videos and concerts. It has this symbol on the back, but just take a look at this girl's clip and let me know what you guys think about it.
Speed. You'll see how powerful you really are. All you need to do is break the beam. I challenge you to do that. Can you do it? Do you have the power to do that? Stop the recording. Not done it. Something is there. I really can make this shit up right here at Walmart right now, guys. They got the water. They got the water for your baby. Let's take a look at this. The source is deep well in Ocala, Florida. Processed by steam distillation, microfiltration, ultraviolet light. Why ultraviolet light? And then ozonation, sus. And then after all that, it's still not sterile, guys. Can't make this shit up.
Use as directed by physician or by labeling directions for use of infant formula. For mixing with infant formula, the FDA recommends boiling non-sterile water for 1 minute. Wait. This water is non-sterile, guys, so you have to boil this water before using it. After opening, refigerate and use within 7 days. Oh my god. There's an expiration date to this shit, guys. Basically what they're saying is boiling non-sterile water for 1 minute and cooling before use. Oh no shit, because you burn yourself if you don't. After opening, refrigerate and use within 7 days. Basically what they're saying is if you don't boil this water and cool it before use and it's within 7 days, you might fuck up your kid.
Can make this shit up, guys. They got the water.
He was
It's crazy, y'all. I didn't even know that. I buy that water for my baby, and I don't read it. I just see a baby. I used to get that from my nieces when I was, younger. I'd go, my sister would send me to the store, get some water, I'd get it. But I told Mama Bear yesterday, like, look at that. The bottle was in the cabinet. Like, look, read it. She read it. She's like, what the hell? Like, maybe we should go buy regular distilled water but we're just going to put it in the refrigerator. It says she Googled it, read research. I know you guys are going to talk a lot of crap about that, but yeah, it's a cold game. I said that's cold blooded. Like who actually reads that? You know what I mean? Who actually reads that?
Serious when he said that we can only retire 10,000 people a month because the retirement paper is kept in a limestone mine.
All the retirement paperwork is manual on paper. It's manually calculated, then written down on a piece of paper. Then it goes down a mine. And like, what do you mean a mine? Like, yeah, there's a limestone mine, but we stole all the retirement paperwork.
And I found an article that was written in 2014. The government has been trying to digitize this system since the 80s and has wasted over $100 million on the project with no results. We're still doing it manually by hand to this day. When this article was written, they mentioned that there are 600 employees doing this job, and Elon just said today there are 700 people working on this. 11 years later, here we are in 2025, still doing it manually with paper and storing it in a limestone mine. If anybody can't see the value of Doge at this point, you're trying so hard not to.
Vegas
Like, why can't you do it digitally? I mean, why not? It seems simple. Like everything the government we pay for is terrible. It's shit. I mean, you guys been to the post office lately? They are so outdated at the post office. You go to the UPS store for an Amazon return or to ship something like that. You go to the post office, it's like they're still using a mule and a pigeon to do their mail. It's ridiculous, and that's government funded, taxpayer funded. Like, where's this money going for the new technology? It's going in the higher ups' pockets. We heard that earlier. It's ridiculous. I get pissed, y'all. I get pissed about that.
Yeah.
Losing their mind this week.
No one's here.
They're having losing days
Vegas.
during Super Bowl week when it's usually jam-packed, every table hopping.
Usually
right?
you can't get a room.
So the question is, why? Right? Why do people not come to Las Vegas?
Well, we talked about this earlier. I think that they jack the prices up on everything.
They're knitting, they're squeezing.
If you're staying at a hotel, you still have to pay parking sometimes, and it's like $25, $35 to park each day by the day, and that's just crazy, isn't it?
I feel like, Benny Binion, who ran the Binion's Horseshoe before, Jack and Becky and everybody else.
Yeah.
He'd be turning over in his grave right now because his thought is this. You're coming to my
Hospitality.
casino to lose money. You're going to get a free room. You're going to get rattlesnake, alligator, whatever those people like to eat, but like it was a
Ew.
full that's what they ate back then. I don't know. So like they really took care of customer first,
Yeah.
expecting to get you on the back end.
I know a lot.
See, is Vegas? I haven't been to Vegas in years, y'all. Is Vegas dying? You guys been to Vegas? Is it still packed? I mean, are people starting to wake up because of social media, because of people that, tell you this is a rigged game, and people are starting to wake up to, I don't know, I'm so far out the loop. Like, I don't drink no more. If I drank, I'm sure I'd be going to Vegas, a couple times a year, right? But now that I don't drink, are people waking up like, this alcohol, this casino, it's all connected? Or is you see a lot of people exposing casinos, saying how it's rigged, and they do all these things psychologically to get you hooked. And I don't know, y'all. I haven't been to Vegas in a while. But when I used to go, packed. According to them, it's dead now.
Of quote unquote celebrities and people that people are rooting and clapping for. And I'm like, if you knew them the way I knew them, you might not be clapping and cheering them on. You get what I'm saying? And so that's why I just laugh, man. I see all the fake love on Instagram, and it sucks, man. Like, we're in a world nowadays
For
where
real.
people straight up and don't care anymore. Where it's crazy because now fake or real don't matter no more. As long as I'm making a check with you, let's go. And that's how sad our society has become, dog.
All right, family. There you have today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you made it this far, leave a like, comment, subscribe. We're up early today, y'all. Woke up at 3:30 again. The baby needed to be fed. I fed him, changed his diaper. Yeah, you heard that right. I changed his diaper. And I say, you know what? I'm wide awake. I've been doing keto for a while. I messed up on Super Bowl Sunday. The past 7 days, I messed up once. That never happens. Well, it doesn't happen since I've been in Texas. In Arizona, y'all, I was disciplined, running, eating clean, in shape. Since moving to Texas, I don't know what happened, y'all. I don't know. But yeah, second channel video will be up. We're doing the creepiest top 10 Mandela effects that are true. Make sure you guys go over there, check it out. Links down below. Go show some love, leave a like, comment. Let's get in the algorithm over there. I'm gonna start getting, my videos going over there. I feel like I'm on a good schedule now, so I can fit in that second channel. And when we start getting some good views, not just 50 views, 100 views, when we start getting up there, we'll be doing that giveaway. Y'all don't think I forgot. So link down below. Go watch that video. Show some love over there. It'll be live by the time you guys see this. I got to get going, y'all. I got to react to the second video. Mama Bear is going to be up with the baby here in about an hour. This is Segovia. I'm signing out of the man cave. Hope everyone out there has a good day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Later.